thing that happened that year was as Lindbergh flew the Atlantic.
Okay. Where were you born?
I was born on the, well, in a community in Harrison County, Waupaca County, Harrison Township, Waupaca County. Harrison Township is the northwestern township in Waupaca County.
Where have you lived other than that?
Well, we lived on different farms. We moved when I was a year old, and then we moved again when I was 6 years old, my birthday, and then we moved again up into Portage County when I was 10 years old. And we lived on that farm until I left the farm to join the Navy.
What kind of pets did you have?
Well, we had pets all over the place. I had a couple of horses that were my pets. I had two different dogs. I only had one dog at one time, but we had a bunch of cats around the place all the time. And one time, I had a skunk for a pet. That was probably when I was around 12 years old. So that was he lived with the cats, and he didn't smell like a skunk at all. He was, but he eventually left and went his own way, going somewhere as skunks do. But he was a lot of fun as a pet.
Where did you go to school?
Well, we had one-room schoolhouses at that time that had 8 different grades in one classroom, and probably 25 students. So I went to school first, for my first year. Well, I started school my first year I went to school was the year I was, well, I guess I was 5 years old. And then we moved, like I said, on my 6th birthday. So when I started in the other school at that place, there wasn't any other kids in the first grade except me. And so they put me in the 2nd grade with the other kids because I could read and do whatever you. So that was in Norsk School, which is a little, well, I mean, a little, not even a village, just a store alongside the road.
What year did you graduate from school?
Well, I graduated from grade school in summer school in Portage County. That would have been in, I guess, 1939. Or, yeah, about then. And then I went to school. My first year was at a kind of a boarding school down in Scandinavia. And then the next year, my dad needed me to help him on the farm, so I had to come back to home, and then I went to school in Russell High School.
So, it seems that your first job after you graduated was the Navy?
Well, I graduated from high school, well, to put it curious, like when I was 14, we had a fire and the house burned down, and my dad got hurt, so I had to stay out of school and take care of the farm, care of the animals and everything. So when I went back to school the next year, I was a year later in class than I had been. So I graduated from high school in 1945. And then I worked on the farm with my dad that summer, and then I joined the Navy that fall.
Why did you join the Navy?
Well, because we had at that time, this is during World War II, there was a draft in place, and I was registered to draft. But the draft board had given me a 6-month deferment so I could help my dad who needed the help. And then in September, they opened enlistments again, that you could choose which service you wanted to go into, rather than just be assigned to where you were needed. Well, so as soon as I was able to pick the Navy, I went and enlisted in the Navy, and I went in the Navy in early October.
Why did you enter the submarine service?
That was another one of those things that the Navy did. They decided that I had the whatever attributes, skills or whatever, that attitude that they wanted in the submarine force, so they assigned me to. Asked me if I wanted to volunteer for it, because it was strictly a volunteer outfit, and I said, sure. That'd be good experience. So, because I'd done so well in that school I was in the Navy, they just grabbed me up and sent me to submarine training up in Connecticut.
What submarines did you serve on?
Ooh, a whole bunch of them. Actually, not too many. My first one that I was assigned to permanently was in San Diego, California, the USS Scabbard Fish. And then this was end of the war, and they were having to reduce their forces, so they put the Scabbard Fish out of commission, and we had to fix her all up to preserve her. So we did that up in Mare Island, California, just north of Oakland. And then I was transferred to the USS Perch, which was going to be a troop-carrying submarine. And they had a big bubble on the back of it, and we carried a landing craft and a bunch of rubber boats. And then I was on the Perch for 2 years or more, and then I got a chance to transfer. This would have been in 1950, May of 1950. I transferred to the to another ship and went to Hawaii. And then the war in Korea started up, and the vessel I was on had been slated to go out there, but they decided to put another boat in her place at that time because it had special equipment that we didn't have. So I stayed on this ship from 1950 to well, I guess 54 years, until 1954, summer sometime. And then I went to school again. They shipped me to Washington, D.C. to go to school. Studied in electronics and computers and stuff. So I was in Washington, D.C. from fall of 1954 until February of 1956. And then they sent me back to Hawaii, and assigned me to the Pickerel, USS Pickerel. And I was on Pickerel for several years until I was transferred to let's see, where did I go from Pickerel? Oh, shore duty. I went to only shore duty I had. I went 2 years in Detroit, Michigan, as the senior enlisted in the Navy submarine recruiting program, and in Detroit. So we stayed there until my daughter Karen was born, and then we came back to Wisconsin, and I had about a year and a half of school to do while I was in Great Lakes, Illinois. So the family lived up here in Eldron, while I traveled back and forth weekends to go to school in Great Lakes. And then we left. After I completed that schooling, I got transferred back to submarines active duty again, and I ended up on USS Scorpion. And I rode USS Scorpion. We were part of that ring around Cuba about the atomic missiles that they had on Cuba, and we were going out there challenging the Soviet vessels that might come by to provide them with more or support or whatever. It was a touchy situation, and finally everybody gave up and said, the hell with it, it's not worth it. And so I came back to I came back to Norfolk, Virginia, and I was going to get out of the Navy at that time, and they asked me to stay on and start up a school in Great Lakes to teach the equipment that I knew better than probably anyone else around. And so I did that for another 3 years. So in 1967, when our son was born, that's when I decided to get out of the Navy for sure. And we left the 22nd of December, 1967, and came back here to Eldron to live.
Where have you gone, or have you gone anywhere else that you haven't mentioned on the submarines?
Well, when I was out in Hawaii, we made several trips one to Alaska in the middle of the winter, several trips to Japan, to Korea, and we were all set up to go to Australia one time, and then they needed us to go someplace else, so that's about what it was. You couldn't plan on too many things because you got short notice assignments, and that's the way it worked out. But I enjoyed the submarine force. That was a bunch of real good people, and I liked working with them.
What other jobs did you have in the Navy, if any other jobs?
What's the question?
What other jobs did you have in the Navy?
Well, I mean, other than I started off in the Navy as in the engine room, taking care of equipment and pumps and things like that, valves and blah, blah. And then I went to school, learned the computers and electronics, and then the last when I was on Scorpion, I was the fire control chief who was in charge of the equipment and the computing equipment and for firing torpedoes and for actually firing the torpedo. That's about where I was. So when I went to, they asked me to set up that school and write the curriculum and decide how it was going to be taught and to train my instructors and run the school for 3 years. That was a pretty good job. So that's about all I did in the Navy. Was half the time when I was going to school learning something or other, and the other time I was out at sea. So I didn't spend a lot of time just looking around on shore.
Did you fight in any wars?
Well, let's say we were in the middle of several. But did I shoot and kill anybody? No. Did anybody ever actually shoot at me? I said, I don't know. Because we were supposed to keep hidden. That was our mission, and nobody's supposed to know we were there. And we didn't want to reveal ourselves unless we had a real good purpose. So I don't want to say I didn't actually get any blood in my hands in the war, but wars were already all around us, and we just tried to do what we were told to do.
How long were you in the Navy?
Yeah, how long? From the 10th of October 1945 until the 22nd of December 1967. A period of 22 years and a couple of months.
When did you get married?
Well, we got married December 3rd, 1949. I was stationed in San Diego at the time, and I wasn't sure. Things were changing around in the world at that time, and there were indications that maybe you're going to be peaceful for a while. So decided the war, how would I say? I was thinking of getting out of the Navy at that time. And then my present wife, only wife, came out to San Diego, and we decided to get married, and then, like I say, that was December of '49, And by June of 1950, when the Korean War started, the president, realizing that he needed as many active troops as he had, and then some, froze my enlistment, and I couldn't get out for another 2 years. They extended it. So I re-enlisted, and then I've re-enlisted every time it's necessary since then.
How many children did you have?
Well, we had a number of 5 daughters and 1 son. And we have how many grandchildren? Oh, yeah. We have 5, I think. Let's see. 2 girls and 3 boys, yeah. No, 4 boys. 4 boys? 5 boys. 5. We got 5 boys. And there's 2, yeah.
Yep. 5 boys and 2 girls.
Yeah, so that's a whole lot different than where I was. I was the only boy, and I had 7 sisters. My son was the only boy, and he had 5 sisters. And now we get to grandchildren, and there's only 2 girls and there's 5 boys. That's pretty good.
Looking back on your life, do you have any observations or words of wisdom to pass on to your grandchildren?
Yeah, but I gotta take a trip right now.
So again, looking back on your life, do you have any observations or words of wisdom to pass on to your grandchildren?
Oh, probably as many as somebody else might, because I think I've learned that if you want to teach somebody something, it doesn't work unless they want to learn it. And what I've got to teach, to pass on as words of wisdom, is just be open-minded. No matter how much you think you know, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. So be open-minded and willing to learn, and try not to make any mistakes that you know about, but don't let the fear of making mistakes keep you from doing what you think is right. That's about all. You know? Got a good life ahead of you, and take advantage of it, because you only get one life. Try not to screw it up, because the purpose of life is to make memories, either for yourself or for other people who notice your passing. So try not to make the wrong memories, but it's your life. It's in your hands. Nobody else's. You got the on-off switch, and so take care. Wish you well. and enjoy being alive.
And finally, for the last question, is there anything that you would like to mention about any of the questions, like anything you might have forgotten to say or something special that happened?
Well, I had no knowledge of what Navy was about at all, except that I had been on the farm for so many years and doing walking. So I didn't want to join, I didn't want to go in the Army. No, I don't know if that was it at all, but I've always liked the Navy. But what I did learn mostly in my life was that you don't know what's around the corner. I learned that old thing that says that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's probably why we call it the present. Yeah.
Okay. This is the end of the interview, and thank you, Grandpa, for letting me interview you.
You're very welcome.
Okay.